Hello, everyone. Now, I know that it's hard to keep up on top of what's going on in the Holy Land, but if you want to know more about what's happening here in Israel, I'm Aaron Porras, and this is the Weekly Review.
We are inching closer and closer to the end of 2020, and hopefully closer to political calm in Israel. After 3 elections in 2 years ending in deadlock, Israel is heading to another vote in late March. And the latest predictions might surprise you. Right now, Prime Minister Netanyahu's Likud has 36 seats. According to a new poll, if the election was held today, Likud would get 25 seats, just a short lead over Gideon Sa'ar's New Hope Party, which would get 22. Yair Lapid's Yesh Atid, Yamina, and the ultraorthodox follow with 15 seats, and the Arab Joint List at 11. Some other political shockwaves: Higher Education Minister Zev Elkin, a former close confidant to Netanyahu, announcing he'll part from the Prime Minister to join Sa'ar's new movement. And perhaps less surprising, the Yamina Party's Naftali Bennett saying he'll run for Prime Minister as a right-wing alternative to the embattled Prime Minister.
הגיע הזמן לשינוי. נתניהו עטור זכויות, אבל ברגע האמת, בזמן שהיינו צריכים אותו יותר מכל, הוא פשוט לא היה. עלינו להודות לו על שנים של עשייה, אך צריך להתקדם הלאה. זה בטח לא הזמן לעוד מפלגות שקמו רק כדי להגיד מי לא, במקום להתוות דרך של מה כן, לאן אנחנו צריכים ללכת. ישראל חייבת מנהיגות חדשה. לכן, הערב, אני עומד פה בפניכם, אזרחי ישראל, ומודיע שאני מתמודד לתפקיד ראש ממשלת ישראל, כדי להביא סוף סוף את השינוי, כדי שלישראל תהיה מנהיגות שרואה את האזרחים ולא את עצמה.
In the background of Israel's political chaos, the country will enter yet another lockdown beginning this Sunday at 5 p.m., a third since March. So what can we expect? Well, firstly, all foreigners are now banned from entering the country. Any Israeli citizen who lands from abroad must isolate in a government-run Corona hotel. From Sunday, as I said, this lockdown will go into effect. Israelis must stay within a 1-kilometer radius of their homes, with some exceptions, like shopping for essentials and solo exercise. Visiting another household will be forbidden, and all malls and markets will close. Businesses are forbidden from welcoming customers and can only operate at a 50% capacity. In the education sector, students up to the 4th grade, as well as 11th and 12th grade, will learn just part-time. If you're unsure, you can check out ILTV.tv for all the latest. For now, it seems the light at the end of the pandemic tunnel is getting dimmer by the second. Let's learn more about it in the next report.
Since the discovery of a coronavirus mutation more infectious than COVID-19, Israel is scrambling to contain the spread.
ברור מאליו שנקטנו בצעדים הנכונים שסגרנו את השמיים מבריטניה ומיתר העולם. ברור מאליו גם שנקטנו נכון כשאנחנו מחייבים אנשים ישראלים להיכנס למלוניות.
But was it too little too late? Infection rates continue to rise, and no one knows for sure if the vaccines approved for COVID-19 will be effective.
החדשות הטובות הן לפחות על סמך הערכות של החברות שמספקות לנו חיסונים, שהחיסונים הללו בסבירות גבוהה, אבל לא מוחלטת, מטפלים בנגיף. את זה נדע רק בעוד כמה ימים.
With little certainty, the government is sending Israelis into lockdown beginning this Sunday. So Israelis are rushing to get home before the holidays.
And I'm here and I'm happy, but then I heard it was going to be a lockdown again. So it's not going to be a real holidays, but still I'm here to see my parents, and that's the main point.
We came from New York. We were supposed to come on Friday, but because of the news that everyone that was going to come would have to go stay in a melonit, we decided to push back our flight to today to arrive before 10 p.m. It wasn't an easy decision. We had to give up a lot of things, but you do what you have to do.
Well, we had to get back here before the deadline of people going into Corona Hotel. I wanted to be back with my family, and I didn't want to have to spend 14 days in a hotel.
According to the health ministry, it might indeed be too late. 4 cases of the new UK mutation have already been discovered in the country. And to make things worse, a 3rd mutation has now been discovered in South Africa. Here are the latest numbers. On Wednesday, Israel's health ministry recorded 3,805 new cases. There are 153 in critical condition, including 117 on ventilators. Israel has lost 3,150 people to the virus. But regardless, Israel's vaccination campaign is not slowing down. In fact, the country is set to be among the first to vaccinate its general population against COVID-19. Maybe even by Passover 2021. The health ministry is also ramping up its mask-wearing campaign with a series of cheeky ads starring Israeli celebs. If this doesn't make you want to wear a mask, we don't know what will. Chana Rifkin, ILTV.
Israelis waking up this morning to reports of tragedy. Government officials offering condolences as the body of an Israeli mother of 6 was found in the Rehan forest in the West Bank. Investigators believing that she may have been the victim of a terror attack. 52-year-old Esther Horgan left her home in the settlement of Tal Menashe Sunday evening for a jog in the woods nearby, but failing to return home, security forces launched a manhunt Monday morning. Paramedics pronouncing Horgan dead at the scene, with early statements saying that she had suffered traumatic head injury from a rock in cold blood. Terror attack or not, though, search for a murder suspect is underway, with all directions being investigated. Esther is remembered as a dear woman, mother, and wife who was full of kindness. Meanwhile, a suspect in Saturday night's attempted Molotov cocktail firebombing attack has been arrested. The Shin Bet and the IDF reportedly taking a man in for questioning Sunday evening. Now, unfortunately, we begin tonight with yet another probable terror attack. An unidentified Palestinian teen opening fire towards a group of Israeli police officers in Jerusalem's Old City Monday night. Then chasing the suspect, police reportedly returned fire, killing him. Aside from this, only one other injury was reported, an officer falling during the chase. But that said, it's not for lack of trying. Security footage showing the suspect firing multiple shots from a makeshift Carlo-style submachine gun near one of the entrances to the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound and then trying to run away. Meanwhile, though unsuccessful, this latest attack is raising fears of a spike in anti-Israeli terrorism, as just hours earlier, police discovered the body of 52-year-old Esther Horgan in the northern West Bank. Horgan is suspected of being killed while out on a jog in a brutal Sunday evening attack. Investigators still looking for the culprit.
Police clashed with ultra-Orthodox Jews on Tuesday in Jerusalem as a demonstration was held to protest the detention of a 20-year-old after he rejected army conscription. Hundreds gathered near the capital city's central bus station, police closing the road and shooting water cannons at protesters. While some from the ultra-Orthodox community do serve in the military, many generally believe that their time should be spent studying Jewish religious law and that the military would prevent that or postpone it. Under current Israeli law, Jews educated at yeshivas are exempt from drafting to the army.
Meanwhile, White House advisor Jared Kushner is arriving in Israel ahead of the first direct flight from Tel Aviv to Morocco. Kushner landing with a small delegation including Israeli-Palestinian peace envoy Avi Berkowitz and set to meet with United States Ambassador to Israel David Friedman, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, alternate Prime Minister Benny Gantz, and other members of the Israeli National Security Directorate. Then the group is scheduled to make the historic first ever public direct flight between Israel and the Moroccan capital of Rabat on Tuesday. This following the recent announcement of official normalization between Morocco and Israel, the fourth such normalization between Israel and an Arab or Muslim state since the summer. And Prime Minister Netanyahu and Jared Kushner, for their parts, hailing the new partnerships as they planted trees in Jerusalem's Grove of Nations.
These things happen. You have left through the Abraham Accords a mark on our region, Jared. I don't think it's a passing mark. I don't think the seasonal rains will wash it away. I think it's here to stay. It's a great thing and something that we truly treasure.
Over the last 4 months, we've now achieved 4 peace agreements, and thanks to 4 years of hard work, and I do think that the benefits of that will be felt for many years to come.
Well, on top of heading to a fourth election, Israel is also marking another milestone, adding a fourth nation to the U.S.-brokered Abraham Accords after the UAE, Bahrain, and Sudan. The first ever direct commercial flight landing in Rabat from Tel Aviv on Tuesday with an Israeli delegation on board accompanied by Jared Kushner. Chana Rifkin's report.
Israel and Morocco agreed to open diplomatic missions in Tel Aviv and Rabat, days after announcing this would be the fourth deal of the U.S.-brokered Abraham Accords.
So what's next? After the agreements are signed today and the memos of understanding, I will probably be down in the southern provinces opening our consulate. And then I think over the coming months, you can look for more agreements between Israel and our partners, coming with innovation and perhaps technology, matching it with Morocco's entrepreneurship. We're very excited about what can be coming.
2 weeks ago, outgoing U.S. President Trump announced that Israel and Morocco have agreed to full diplomatic ties. The deal in exchange for U.S. recognition of Moroccan sovereignty over the Western Sahara, despite international backlash.
I think this is an historic event. Both the announcement of the re-establishment of relations between Morocco and Israel and the visit of the first formal official delegation from Israel to Rabat. It's an historic day because it sends a message of hope both for the people of Morocco and the people of Israel and the entire region. A region that has known too many wars and too many conflicts. We are now in an era that we are talking about peace and we are talking about hope.
Donald Trump's advisor and son-in-law Jared Kushner arriving in Israel early Tuesday.
It's been an honor to be a part of it. I want to thank the team here for all their hard work. Hopefully this will be a successful flight. We have several agreements that we're looking to conclude on this.
Later, accompanying an Israeli delegation on the first ever direct commercial flight to Rabat. Officials say that the diplomatic missions expected to open in each country are just the beginning of diplomatic agreements between the countries.
العلاقات الدافية بين القصر الملكي والشعب المغربي عامة ويهود المغرب خاصة معروفة في كل أنحاء العالم. إنها ستشكل جسرا بين البلدين وركنا لبناء السلام بين الشعبين.
Chana Rifkin, ILTV.
On other news, Israel is coming under attack by foreign powers again, just covertly. Supposedly, Iran-linked groups claiming to have hacked the computer systems of Israel Aerospace Industries in the latest of a series of breaches targeting Israeli firms. The latest breach by a group known as Pay to Key, revealing its alleged hack on Twitter and then also identifying IAI subsidiary administrators' full names and passwords. Far from random, though, Israeli cybersecurity firm ClearSky, which first identified these hacks, is saying that this is part of an ongoing and coordinated Iranian effort to create panic through information warfare, with at least 15 to 20 other companies suspected of being targeted and following several similar breaches reported over the last few weeks. That said, Israeli cyber experts are sending volleys right back, most famously back in May when a number of allegedly Israeli cyber attacks wreaked havoc across Iranian ports and chemical installations. All right, now in other news, an Israeli submarine surfacing in the Persian Gulf in what can only be described as an apparent taunt or show of force against Iran. The Israeli vessel crossing through the Suez Canal last week, reportedly with the approval of Egypt and in supposed efforts to send a message to the Ayatollahs in Tehran. And just earlier Monday, IDF Chief of Staff Aviv Kochavi warned Iran against any coming aggressions. The IDF, however, has not commented on the submarine report from last week. Still, meanwhile, in a very similar showing, an American nuclear sub also crossed the Strait of Hormuz on Monday, the anniversary of the killing of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani.
Moving now to the U.S., there is less than a month until Joe Biden's new administration will take over the White House. Germany is pushing the new administration to re-enter the 2015 Iran nuclear deal brokered by former President Obama, or at least something similar. According to Israel's ambassador to Germany, the country's foreign minister says he is already in contact with new administration officials who seem keen to recreate it and even redirect it into a larger security agreement for the entire region. The 2015 deal, known formally as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, included relief from sanctions in return for curbing its nuclear program. Donald Trump famously exited the deal back in 2018.
Yet another Hanukkah holiday miracle, sorta. NBA rookie and 19-year-old Dani Avdaya from northern Israel making his mark on the basketball league's preseason as he plays hard for the Washington Wizards. Announcers during last week's game against the Brooklyn Nets calling him the mensch off the bench as opposed to an elf on the shelf, while Avdaya scored 2 of his 15 points that game. Then fast forward to the more recent preseason finale, Avdaya again helping carry the team to its 99-96 point win against the Detroit Pistons, making 9 points, including 2 3-pointers, 10 rebounds, 2 assists and 3 steals. And this leaving Avdaya, of course, with a preseason slate average of 10.3 points per game, 6.3 rebounds, and a nearly 55% shooting average from the field. Proof of the skills that made him so sought after during the 2020 draft. And finally, returning the love, the Washington Wizards have launched a Hebrew Twitter page for Avdiya's adoring fans at home. We thought we'd remind everyone that not all news has to be hard news. The Israeli Antiquities Authority now unearthing a 2,000-year-old ritual bath that's shedding new light on the story of the Last Supper. Hannah Rifkin reports.
We are standing at the foot of Mount of Olives, adjoining the Valley of Kidron. It is a very well-known site in Jerusalem, known by the name Gethsemane, and it's very, very important for Christianity. Right here there is modern church dedicated to those biblical events. Back then, 2,000 years ago, it was a field outside the walls of Jerusalem, full with olive trees. And in the middle of the field was some kind of olive press for making oil. Until now, we do not have any archaeological proof that something was here in the Second Temple period. Until now.
That's right. For the first time ever, actual remains from the holy area of Gethsemane in Jerusalem, showing a glimpse of daily life dating back to the Second Temple period. And all with the help of the Custos of the Holy Land, Father Francesco Patton, and a surprisingly fortunate accident.
The Franciscans, who owned this piece of land in Jerusalem, decided to build an underground passage leading from the Church of Gethsemane to the Valley of Kidron, and suddenly, in the middle of this underground passage, the mountain collapsed and revealed ancient and amazing find. The Jewish ritual bath, known by the name the mikveh.
But of course, located in the Mount of Olives, just a stone's throw from the Holy Church of Gethsemane, aka the Church of Agony, or the Church of All Nations, the discovery of this Jewish ritual bath also carries heavy Christian significance as well.
And according to the New Testament, right here, after the Last Supper, Jesus foresaw the destructions of Jerusalem. He understood that he had to die in order to save humanity for its sins.
All right, speaking of expanding peace agreements, a new and beautiful song of unity is now making its way across the net. Hannah Rifkin with the story.
Among the growing number of Arab and Muslim states that have now normalized with Israel, Tunisia and Yemen are unfortunately not counted. But try and tell that to Israeli artist Ziv Yecheskel and Tunisian artist Nauman Shari, who just partnered up for an incredible duet. Composed by a Yemenite artist who remains anonymous for the sake of his or her own safety. Then reaching for the widest audience possible, the song entitled Peace Between Neighbors is performed entirely in Arabic, but with Hebrew and English subtitles. And the video includes imagery both from Tunisia and Israel, though without expressly stating as much. Now, as for the message itself, the unnamed Yemenite writer says that the intention is to spread love and peace between peoples, with lyrics including lines like, "In my faith there is place for all religions," and my book calls on neighbors to overcome their differences and build bridges towards one another. Then finally, the project was organized by the New York-based Arab Council for Regional Integration, which describes itself as a pan-Arab initiative for fostering a spirit of partnership that knows no borders.
Well, Christmas Eve is tomorrow night, and holiday cheer is quickly spreading around the Holy Land. Each year, Palestinian Christian Issa Kassisia tours around the old city of Jerusalem, handing out goodies provided by the city's municipality to Christians, Muslims, and Jews alike. Now he has a new addition to his costume, a mask, of course.
I think everybody could use a little extra celebration this year. So we brought our whole family to receive this amazing gift of a tree, and we're looking forward to celebrating together.
Merry Christmas!
And in Tel Aviv, a slightly different scene, and maybe a place you'd least expect to see a character normally in a snowy climate. A handful of locals dressed up and attended a Santa beach volleyball match organized by the municipality to spread the holiday spirit.
This year, the Christmas around the world is a little different, a little bit sad sometimes, but here in Tel Aviv, we decided to do a party. Party! Woo!
Today is Christmas Eve. Although the holiday might look different this year, holiday spirit is all over the country. The Prime Minister even released a special Christmas greeting.
I wish Israel's many Christian friends around the world a very Merry Christmas. On behalf of the people of Israel, I thank each and every one of you for your prayers and for your support.
And last but not least, Issa Kassisieh, Jerusalem's resident Santa Claus, released a special Christmas message from the Dead Sea.
Ho, ho, ho! We're always ready to welcome you here at the Dead Sea land. Ho, ho, ho! Oh, Merry Christmas from the Dead Sea in the Holy Land.
And he also spoke to Ynet earlier today and explained why Christmas is especially important this year.
The children are in stress. They are in stress, but I try to do as much I can. Either if I walk around Jerusalem, I ride the camel. Last 2 days ago, I ride my camel around and I try to bring joy to Jerusalem and to the Holy Land. Merry Christmas to everybody, and I wish everybody health and ho ho Holy Land. Ho ho ho!
And that's it for ILTV's Weekly Review. I'm Aaron Porras. See you next week.